When I was 18, I lent Eric $520. He told me, "Joanna, once I'm famous, I'll pay you back $5.2 million. 6 years later, he was famous. And he was asking me for money again? Being the hopeless romantic I am, I didn't hesitate and sent him every last cent I had. He just laughed at me. "Joanna, won't your husband be mad you're giving me all your money?" But after we hung up, I got a notification for a $5.2 million transfer from him. I couldn't believe it when I got the text. It was simple. "Can you lend me some money? Account 622XXXX. The sender, Eric, the handsomest guy in the world. I hesitated for a moment, then transferred every penny from my bank account. A grand total of $3,262.60. I figured Eric must be in real trouble. Why else would he contact me? Did he go broke? Get cancelled? Was he kidnapped? My mind raced through all the possibilities. A few seconds later, my phone rang. It was Eric, the handsomest guy in the world. A jolt of anxiety shot through me. Eric and I hadn't spoken since graduation. After 7 years, I had no idea what to feel or how to even answer the phone. The ringing wouldn't stop. I took a deep breath and hit accept. "Eric. This is the Anti-Fraud Center with an important message. Scammers use a variety of ever-changing tactics. To protect yourself, please remember our 3 don'ts and 1 do. Don't click unknown links, don't trust calls from strangers, don't reveal personal information, and always verify before transferring money." I'd been scammed? Son of a bitch. My hard-earned money. "Miss Reed, do you understand?" I was stunned silent for a moment. I do." "Then please repeat it back to me." I suddenly forgot. How embarrassing. Was I supposed to have the whole thing memorized? "All right, she's just a little slow." A familiar voice, tinged with exasperation, came from the other end of the line. "Joanna, you're still as gullible as ever, aren't you?" Eric's deep voice flowed through the speaker. Flustered and nervous, I couldn't think of a single thing to say. "Won't your husband be mad that you gave me all your money?" he asked, his voice full of playful teasing. I was speechless, my face flushing red. Then give it back." He let out a soft chuckle. "Okay. I'm in the middle of filming a show. I'll talk to you later." His magnetic voice came through the phone again, followed by one last jab. "And remember to download an anti-scam app." My face burned even hotter. The call ended. Before I could even process what had happened, I got a transfer alert. "Eric has sent you $5,200,000.00. My eyes went blurry staring at all those zeros. I rubbed them and counted again. I pinched myself. Hard. It hurt. I wasn't dreaming. $5.2 million. Did Eric have an anti-scam app himself? I remembered that summer 7 years ago. I lent him $520, and he said that once he was famous, he'd pay me back $5.2 million. I always thought he was just joking. For him, $5.2 million was probably a drop in the bucket. But for a corporate drone like me, making barely $3,000 a month with a life more bitter than my coffee, it was an astronomical sum. This sudden fortune felt like a hot potato, and I had no idea what to do with it. After a long hesitation, I texted my best friend. She called me immediately, her voice electric with excitement. "So you're the idiot they were talking about. How come you never told me you knew Eric?" "Me? What idiot?" My friend shared a trending post from X. "Eric borrows money." I clicked on the live stream replay. It was from a show where Eric and a few other celebrity guests were promoting anti-fraud awareness. During an interactive segment, the hosts had the guests pretend to be scammers and ask the first contact in their phone for money. Eric immediately typed, "Can you lend me some money?" Everyone laughed, saying that anyone who fell for that would have to be a complete moron. Then, Eric sent the message to the first contact in his phone, idiot. And then, unlucky me, I received it. And then I went all in with my entire life savings. The studio audience erupted in laughter. Everyone was cracking up that a real sucker had fallen for it. Someone even teased, he only got $3,200 out of you? Your friends aren't that generous, are they, Eric? Only Eric didn't laugh. His eyes welled up, and he whispered, after all these years, she's still such an idiot. And then came the call where I got lectured about fraud prevention. I opened the comments section. The top few read. Who is this Joanna Reed? And why is she the first contact in my man's phone? The contact name is so telling. It's like he's exasperated but also fond of her. That's such a specific amount, with change and everything. You don't think that was all the money she had, do you? This Joanna is 100% in love with our guy. Who else would fall for such a basic scam? You only lose your common sense when you're around someone you love. My scalp tingled. I never thought my name would one day show up in a gossip column about Eric. And we were just normal classmates. Nothing more. Back in school, I sat in the front row, and he sat in the last. We were at opposite corners of the classroom, as far apart as you could get. I was the English class rep. Every time I collected homework, Eric was usually goofing off with the slackers in the back. The most I ever said to him was, homework. He'd always reply lazily, didn't do it. My face would turn red as I pressed him. Hurry up and write it. He'd just grin and size me up, then jet his chin out. Let me copy yours. Back then, I was always too shy to look him in the eye. I'd just drop my notebook on his desk and walk away. Behind me, the boys in the class would always start hooting. Ooh, why is our class rep blushing? You got a crush on Eric? Eric would always shoo them away impatiently. Get lost, you morons. Shut up. I have no idea why he saved my name as idiot. I'm not that dumb, I thought to myself. So, after Eric hung up, he transferred me $5.2 million, and now I can't transfer it back to him, I stammered, telling my friend the rest of the story. What should I do? My friend's voice boomed through the phone. Are you kidding? Go slap your resignation letter on your boss's bald head. You're a rich woman now. Who needs to work for that chump change? Joanna, my girl. When you're rich and famous, don't forget me. Let me hug that leg. I rubbed my temples, still completely lost. Just then, my phone lit up with a call from Eric. I took a deep breath and answered. Joanna, you free to get together today? After work, maybe? Good. I could finally give him back that sudden windfall. Okay, I'll wait for you. He sent me an address for a high-end private restaurant. After hanging up, I couldn't focus on anything. I know we were just old classmates getting together, but he was a huge star now. I felt the same anxiety as meeting someone from online for the first time. The minutes dragged on like hours. To kill time while slacking off, I couldn't help but tell my best friend about my upcoming meeting with Eric. Spill. Was there something going on between you two back in the day? No, really, we were just normal classmates. I lent him $520 once. Joanna, you're such a love-struck fool. You lent him money back then, and now, the second he says he's broke, you wire him your entire life savings. And you expect me to believe there's nothing between you two? Please, even a ghost wouldn't buy that. Whatever. Just get me an autograph. He's my idol. Did I have a crush on Eric back then? I guess so. A lot of girls in our class liked him. He was handsome and sunny, with a great personality. He could play the guitar and had a beautiful singing voice. In high school, a boy like that is bound to shine. His desk was always piled high with colorful love letters. But my crush on Eric was a silent one. I was too plain back then, a small-town girl with a bit of baby fat on her face, a dated set of bangs, and a shy personality. Whenever I saw him on the school grounds, I never even had the courage to look up and say hi. So, of course, I never dared to confess my feelings. The most we ever interacted was when I collected homework. He'd saunter from the back row to the front, slap both our homework notebooks on my desk, and announce, "Homework." Then, he'd pull a few chocolates from his school uniform pocket and toss them onto my desk. "Can't finish these. You take 'em." And then he'd swagger off. Back then, a lot of girls heard he liked chocolate and would secretly stuff it in his desk. So after he copied my homework, he'd often toss me a few pieces as a thank you. School days are always beautiful and fleeting. On the last day of our senior year, after the final exams, everyone was frantically taking pictures to capture the memories of our youth. Outside the dorms, one confession of love followed another. But I still couldn't muster the courage to tell Eric how I felt, or even to ask for a picture with him. The only photo we have together is the class picture. To my secret delight, he was standing right behind me, his eyes crinkling as he smiled. At the very end, Eric found me. "Hey, Joanna. Let me get your number." We exchanged numbers. When he saw I'd saved him as just Eric, he authoritatively changed it to a Eric, the handsomest guy in the world. I couldn't help but laugh. He raised an eyebrow, teasing me. "You have a really nice smile." My face flushed again. He smirked. "Joanna, there's a singing competition in LA. I signed up. But I'm broke. Can you lend me some money for a bus ticket?" Flustered, I pulled out my wallet and gave him all the cash I had, $520. "I like that number." He waved the bills at me. "Once I'm famous, I'll pay you back $5.2 million. I laughed again. "Okay." He stood there in the sunlight, waving at me with a brilliant smile. "Joanna, you really do have a great smile. You should do it more often." That summer, the singing competition became a massive hit. Eric rose from a sea of contestants to win the championship. In the full bloom of summer, he really did become famous. After the show ended, I got a text from him, "Did you watch?" I replied, "Congratulations." We didn't talk for many days after that. The last text I ever got from him came late one night. "I'll pay you back. Joanna, I wish you all the best." "You too, Eric. I wish you all the best." After that, we completely lost touch and never saw each other again. But I saw him all the time. In the entertainment news, on variety shows, on the giant screens in downtown shopping centers, and I heard his familiar songs drifting from street corners. Over the years, Eric's career was like a blue-chip stock, soaring ever higher. He became a star, shining brightly on stage. I nervously slacked off until 6 o'clock, when my boss suddenly announced, "All right everyone, meeting time." At 6:30, a text from Eric came in, "Almost here?" I replied sheepishly, "Sorry, I have to work late. Maybe another time?" He replied, "It's fine. I can wait." I felt terrible. I ended up working an hour and a half of overtime. Before I left, I stared at myself in a little mirror for a long time. At 25, I felt so far from the 18-year-old me. I'd learned how to do my makeup and how to dress. My short hair with bangs was now a cascade of soft waves down to my waist. Being under 100 pounds also made my clothes fit better, accentuating my figure. The insecurity and timidity of my 18-year-old self had slowly faded with time and experience. Even so, when I saw Eric, I felt an inexplicable jolt of nervousness. He was the only customer in the huge restaurant. Even though I saw him all the time on my phone and TV, seeing him in person after so many years was a different story. The feeling was both familiar and strange. He was wearing a light gray casual suit that made him look exceptionally tall and lean. The black shirt underneath was unbuttoned at the top, revealing a sexy collarbone. A sharp jawline defined the contours of his face. He seemed to have shed some of his youthful innocence, and a faint scar near his eyebrow added a touch of wildness. "Hi, Eric. Long time no see. I managed a clumsy greeting. When he saw me, his eyes widened slightly in surprise. He smiled. You've changed a lot. Another wave of nerves hit me. You've gotten prettier. You've gotten more handsome, too, I replied softly. Your husband won't get mad about you having dinner alone with me, will he? A sly grin appeared on his face as he raised an eyebrow. I don't have a husband, I answered awkwardly. Oh. Well, a boyfriend then? No, no boyfriend either. I mumbled my reply. You haven't dated at all these years? His gaze was playful and probing. No. Suddenly, I felt like a complete loser, like some kind of defective product. Work's been too busy. No time to date, I added, making an excuse for myself. What a coincidence. Me neither. He looked at me with a smile in his eyes. What do you want to eat? Anything, anything's fine. How about we try their steak? Okay. The atmosphere was painfully awkward, especially since we were the only two people in the vast, empty restaurant. The awkwardness continued until a waiter brought a steak and placed it in front of me. But in front of Eric was just a vegetable salad. You're not eating? I asked, surprised. Can't eat this for dinner. I'll gain weight. The camera adds 10 pounds, he explained, looking a little pitiful. But, you're already so thin. It's not healthy to be too skinny. I was trying to comfort him, but Eric just turned to look at me. I'm not too skinny, am I? I was at a loss for words. No, you're just right. On camera, Eric's physique looked perfect, but in person, he did seem a bit thin. No wonder they say all those skinny-looking celebrities are like stick figures in real life. Besides, Joanna, I'm in great shape, Eric added. That just threw me off again. I didn't know how to respond. I just meant that dieting is bad for your health, I quickly explained. He raised an eyebrow at me. Oh. In that case, can you cut me a piece of your steak? My knife and fork froze mid-air. I was baffled. I don't know what came over me, but I mechanically cut a piece and offered it to him. He actually used my fork to eat the piece of steak. Why not just order his own? He couldn't be that cheap, could he? Or did he actually go broke after transferring all that money to me? No way. Aren't celebrities supposed to be rich? A single custom outfit can cost millions. I suppressed the storm of questions in my mind and got to the point. About the money, Eric. I can't take it. He slowly picked at the plate of green stuff in front of him. I was just paying you back. We had a deal, remember? That was just a joke. I never took it seriously, I explained quickly. I did. You deserve it. You were my first angel investor. But I can't accept this money. Eric didn't seem to want to continue the conversation. He slowly looked up at me. What do you do for work now? GRA, graphic design. His sudden change of topic threw me for a loop. My mind went blank, and for some reason, I stupidly asked. What about you? He burst out laughing. A singer. The air filled with silence. I gathered myself and asked another question. Do you guys get benefits and a 401? He suppressed a smile, his lips curling as he looked at me, and answered seriously, no benefits, number 401, no weekends off, and no overtime pay. Well, being a celebrity doesn't sound so easy after all. Tell me about it. Another wave of awkward silence. I'm a real expert at killing conversations. You know, I'm actually a fan of yours, I said, trying to ease the tension. Really? Then how come I've never seen you at one of my concerts? Your tickets are too expensive. Not just expensive, but impossible to get. I'll invite you to my next one. A faint smile played on Eric's lips as he looked at me intently. Then, can you give me an autograph? I suddenly remembered my friend's request and pulled out a photo and a pen. Sure. Eric took them and signed his name with a flourish. Could you write a little something extra? Sure, what should I write? Eric asked with a casual smile. I squirmed a bit before stammering, could you write, to my darling Lily, may you be more and more beautiful. Eric's smile froze, and his face suddenly darkened. Who's Lily? My best friend. No. Do all you fans call your idols darling? Eric raised an eyebrow, a hint of amusement in his eyes. I forced myself to answer. But don't get the wrong idea. I don't. I quickly tried to explain. Why not? I just purely appreciate your work. He let out a few soft chuckles, and I felt my toes curl in embarrassment again. So which celebrity do you like? He asked, looking up at me. Well, there's Ethan. Would you be able to get me his autograph? Ethan was a young heartthrob who had blown up in recent years. He had this mix of sweet and wild that I loved, and I'd binge-watched all of his shows. Plus, he and Eric were well-known best buds in the industry. A lot of fans even shipped them as a couple. Sure. What should I write? Eric's tone was flat as he raised an eyebrow at me again. To my darling Joanna, may you be more and more beautiful? My eyes lit up. Could you? Eric's face instantly darkened. No. Why not? I thought you two were good friends. I asked tentatively. We're not anymore, he huffed. What? When did that happen? I just saw you guys on a show the other day, and you seemed super close. My inner gossip couldn't be contained. Just now. Ugh, so much for friendship in Hollywood. Joanna, didn't you say you were my fan? Then what's this about Ethan? Idols. Ha. I didn't realize you were such a player. How does that make me a player? I spend 3 hours a day on TikTok. I can fall in love with 80 different guys in that time. All in all, that meeting was a masterclass in awkwardness. And yet, Eric had the nerve to say, Joanna, I had a really great time talking with you today. Well, I'm glad you had fun. In the end, I couldn't stop myself from bringing it up one last time. So, Eric, about the money I lent you back then, you really don't have to pay me back this much. This dinner was expensive enough, let's just call it even. Can you give me an account number so I can transfer it back to you? Oh, I'm having some issues with my accounts right now. Just hold on to it for me, Eric replied nonchalantly. I did the math. The daily interest alone was more than my daily salary. The comparison is just depressing. That's a lot of money. The interest you'd earn in a day is pretty substantial, you know? Should I at least put it in a savings account for you? Sure. Eric pulled out his phone and waved it at me. Aren't you going to add me on WhatsApp? Can I? This is my first time adding a celebrity. He couldn't help but laugh. And a celebrity who's asking for your number first. That day, I added Eric on WhatsApp. It felt like a dream. But looking at the string of zeros in my bank account, it was all too real. I took the huge sum of money and deposited it in a bank. They even gave me 2 free bottles of soybean oil. The next day, while slacking off at work, I suddenly got a message from Eric. Joanna, can you help me touch up a few photos? Of course. Then, he sent me a whole series of professional shots. Some shirtless, some with a tantalizing, half-hidden look. I blushed instantly when I secretly opened them at the office. Whoa, is that Eric? Joanna, where did you get such high residential pics? My colleague next to me glanced at my screen and gasped. Those abs, that V-line, those pecs, hissing noises. The one with the shirt is to die for. It's killing me. I looked at the photo of Eric, a black shirt hanging loosely on his frame, unbuttoned. He was tilting his head back slightly, his face in profile, his gaze cool with a hint of seductive charm. Paired with the faint scar by his eyebrow, the whole screen screamed testosterone. My image of Eric had always been stuck on the sunny 18-year-old boy. Now, the face was the same, but the vibe was completely different. Get thee behind me, Satan. This beautiful man is tempting me. I grit my teeth and closed the window. So? Another message from Eric came through. They're nice. I patted my flushed cheeks and replied. By the way, I put the money in a term deposit. Let me know when you can receive it, and I'll transfer it to you. I casually brought up the massive sum. He replied. They gave me 2 bottles of soybean oil for opening the account. Do you want them? Yes. Could I trouble you to deliver them, Joanna? I was just being polite. He's a huge star, does he really need 2 bottles of oil? And so, I ended up huffing and puffing my way to the most exclusive neighborhood in the city, carrying 2 bottles of soybean oil for a home delivery. Unbelievable. There might be paparazzi outside, so thanks for doing this, Joanna. He took the oil from my hands and gestured for me to come in. Make yourself at home. I took a look around Eric's place. It wasn't as massive as the homes of other celebrities you see on TV. The decor was simple, clean, and tidy, but it lacked a lived-in feel, almost like a model home. Is it strange? He noticed the curiosity in my eyes. Not really. I just figured celebrities like you would live in some 4,000 or 5,000 square foot penthouse. I explained. What's the point of one person living in such a big house? It's too empty. Maybe I'll consider upgrading when I get married. He was wearing a cream-colored loungewear set, his hair soft and relaxed. He looked less like a dazzling stage performer and more like the sunny boy next door. This place isn't small either. A 3-bedroom is plenty big enough for a married couple. I regretted it as soon as I said it. He's a celebrity now, I can't measure him by ordinary standards. I pushed past the awkwardness and waved my hand at him. Well, I've delivered the goods, so I'll be going now. Bye. Eric leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, and gave me a slight nod of his chin. You're already here. Might as well stay for dinner. Ah, the classic you're already here. Fine, I'll eat. I just never expected that Eric could actually cook. He whipped up a few home-style dishes with practiced ease, and they were on the table in no time. What's so strange about it? When you live alone, you have to learn to take care of yourself, he said, sounding a little forlorn. Don't you celebrities have personal assistants and stuff? I don't like being disturbed. Oh, okay. I'm really not good at conversation. Or maybe the gap between us is just too wide, we have no common ground. Every conversation fizzles out so quickly. Luckily, a call from my mom saved me. Joanna, honey. Your Aunt Sue set you up with someone. He's a civil servant, a really solid and reliable guy. You have to meet him next Sunday. My mom's loud voice boomed from the phone. Mom, I'm busy. Let's talk later, I whispered, covering the phone. You have to go next Sunday. It's at that garden cafe near your office. I know. I hastily hung up and forced an awkward smile. That was, my mom. Going on a blind date? Eric kept his eyes downcast as he placed a piece of pork rib on my plate. Yeah. He stood up slightly to ladle a bowl of soup and handed it to me. Joanna, what do you look for in a guy? Huh? Nothing special. As long as he's a good person. I quietly sipped the soup. It was surprisingly delicious. So what do you think of me? Eric calmly took a bite of his food and asked softly. I didn't think much of it and replied casually, you're great. Then he asked, just as casually, oh. So, you want to give us a try? By the time I realized what he was saying, I had a mouthful of soup stuck in my throat and started coughing from the shock. You said. Eric looked straight at me, his lips curved into a smile, and said seriously, I said, Joanna, how about we try dating? My mind went completely blank, and my expression froze. A few seconds passed. I took a deep breath. Don't joke around, Eric. Do I look like I'm joking? Eric continued to look directly at me, his eyes more serious than I'd ever seen them. We're not from the same world. What, are you from Mars? You said all you care about is a good person. What's not good about me? He retorted. My mind was in a total panic. I couldn't think straight. You're too rich, too handsome. Oh, so it's my fault I'm rich and handsome? Are those supposed to be flaws? He threw up his hands, looking utterly exasperated. I was even more exasperated. I've been single my whole life. I've never been in a situation like this. After a long pause, I finally managed to stammer, why me? You're not exactly short on options. There are so many beautiful women in the entertainment industry. And over the years, there have been at least 8 or 10 actresses he's been linked with or shipped with. He peeled a large shrimp and dropped it into my bowl. Because you're willing to spend money on me. That was an answer I truly never expected. 7 years ago, you gave me all the money you had. 7 years later, you did it again. I don't know much, but someone who's willing to give me all their money must be in love with me. Eric said it with a completely straight face. But he kind of had a point. It was true that I had a secret crush on him 7 years ago. But as he rose higher and went further, and as more and more people started to love him, my own feelings had long since faded. As for giving him the money, it was just an instinctive desire to help him. Eric, we're just ordinary classmates. I really wasn't thinking about it that way. Besides, we're not even that close, I explained quietly, my voice muffled. Not that close? Joanna, you've got some nerve, Eric said, suddenly standing up and leaning towards me, a hint of displeasure in his voice. I got a scar for you, and you're telling me we're not that close? He pointed to the scar on his eyebrow. I panicked, not knowing what to do. Isn't that from a fight you got into in school? As I remembered it, that was the first time Eric had gotten into a serious fight with someone. The story was that he and another guy in our class got into a brawl in the dorms. The other guy ended up with a broken rib, and Eric got 3 stitches on his eyebrow. But no one ever said what it was about. Do you know why I fought that guy back then? Why? He was watching one of those movies in the dorm and telling everyone that the girl in it looked like you. He said a lot of other disgusting things, so I beat him up. I was the one who made everyone shut up about it. You're a girl, and the more that kind of thing spreads, the worse it is for you. So that was the reason. A faint smile appeared on Eric's face as he looked down at me. Understand now? Emicham, I mumbled in response. He glanced upwards, seeming to think for a few seconds, then looked back at me with a light laugh. And also, when a certain someone was forced to stand in the hallway as punishment, crying her eyes out like a fool, who was it that kept you company? I remembered that incident clearly because it was so humiliating. Our math teacher back then was going through menopause and was incredibly irritable. No one dared to act up in her class. But one time, she was going over an exam, and I had forgotten my test paper at home. She insisted I did it on purpose and made me stand in the hallway outside the classroom. She even announced viciously from the front of the room, anyone else who didn't bring it can get out and stand with her. And then, Eric casually sauntered out. It was my first time being punished like that, and I just stood outside the classroom, crying softly. Hey, is it really that serious? He teased from beside me. I ignored him, feeling so ashamed that I just kept crying. He just stood there watching me and smiling. Later, he stuffed a few chocolates into my pocket. He said, "Here, have some candy." Thinking back on it now, it still feels a little embarrassing. But you didn't bring your homework either, right? I retorted softly. A sly grin spread across Eric's face, a hint of flirtation in his eyes. Joanna, I had it with me that day. I was both shocked and flustered. What? So, are we not close? He asked, slowly lowering his head, his deep eyes gazing into mine. I was momentarily lost in his stare. No. We're this close, we know each other inside and out, and neither of us is seeing anyone. Why don't we just make do with each other and try dating? My face was beet red. I just stood there, stunned. After a few seconds of hesitation, I grit my teeth and replied, "Deal." It's not like I had anything to lose. I'd never dated a celebrity before. Eric couldn't help but laugh, patting my head gently. Idiot. And just like that, strangely enough, I'd come to deliver 2 bottles of soybean oil and left with a boyfriend. All the way until Eric held my hand as we walked downstairs, drove me home, and dropped me off. The whole thing felt like a dream. Back home, I tossed and turned in bed, unable to sleep. I couldn't resist sending a text to my best friend. "Dude, I have a boyfriend." She replied instantly. "Yeah, well, I have a husband. All the hot guys in showbiz are my husbands." "And your high school classmate, Eric?" "He's my original." "Wait a minute. Don't tell me you actually got a boyfriend behind my back, Joanna." "Who is it?" I replied, "Your original husband." "Oh. You two really got together." I texted back, "I honestly don't even know how it happened. I'm still totally confused." "What's there to be confused about? It's Leo, girl. How's his kissing? What's the hardware like? How's his stamina?" We're not at that stage." "Then get on it. Go pounce on him." I can't believe I get to ship my own best friend with my idol. My friends seemed to have lost her mind. Every day, she'd send me the same greeting. Did Joanna pounce on Eric today? Me, no. It's not that I didn't want to, I just never had the chance. The very next day, Eric left town to film a show, and just like that, our brand new relationship became a long-distance one. His work schedule was erratic. Sometimes, it would be hours before he replied to my texts. He'd call me during his breaks, whispering sweet nothings that would make me blush and stammer until he was satisfied. I would, however, get food deliveries he'd ordered and packages he'd sent. They were all expensive things. When I tried to refuse them, he'd get upset. Holding my phone, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was all incredibly unreal. I wasn't sure if this was what dating was supposed to be like. I started searching for news about Eric online. A headline suddenly popped up in the trending topics: "The unmistakable love between Eric and Jenna." The accompanying picture was a candid shot from his latest show. Jenna was talking, and Eric was looking at her, a smile on his face. The comments were all saying that the way Eric looked at Jenna was so intense you could practically see the sparks. Jenna was a newly popular starlet, and a lot of fans shipped her with Eric. The more I looked at that picture, the more it stung. I opened WhatsApp and sent Eric a message: "When are you coming back?" He didn't reply for a long time. When you're feeling deeply insecure, your mind starts to run wild. I began to overanalyze every single one of his social media posts. I imagined him flirting with some devastatingly beautiful woman at that very moment. All the strange things he'd said that day made it hard not to overthink things, to believe that maybe, just maybe, he had liked me back then. But when I came back to reality, I realized that even if he had, what did it matter? At 18, we were broke and clueless. Who holds on to a crush for that long? Especially when it's Eric, who, in my friend's words, was the dream of a billion girls. He'd seen so many beautiful places and so many beautiful women. Why would he be hung up on me? Maybe that day, he was just having fun, teasing me. Or maybe he thought it was a new and interesting experience to try. The idea that we could actually end up together, even I didn't believe it. That's how people are. Once your thoughts get stuck in a negative loop, they just keep spinning. I pulled out our graduation photo. 18-year-old Eric, standing behind me, smiling gently. I remembered how, whenever we ran into each other back then, I would instinctively look down. Maybe when you like someone, you can't help but feel inferior. It was true then, and it was true now. I couldn't help but post a status update. So, in the end, we don't even have a single photo of just the two of us. The person who defined my youth never once looked back at me. After a while, I felt a little better and deleted the post. No point in dwelling in my own emo feelings. No one can truly empathize with you anyway. I opened my phone and scrolled through a few eye candy videos my friend had shared. My mood instantly improved. Joanna, don't forget, 6 o'clock tonight at the Garden Cafe. That young man, Mr. Wallace, will be waiting for you. My mom suddenly sent me a text, reminding me about the blind date. I had completely forgotten about it. Mom, I don't want to go. The matchmaker said this guy has a stable government job, he's 30, 6 feet tall, and he's solid and dependable. The conditions are perfect. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Now get your butt over there. I grit my teeth. Fine, I'll go. If he can flirt with other women, why can't I have a candlelit dinner with another man? As it turned out, the matchmaker's words were a bit of an exaggeration. This Mr. Wallace, well, how do I put it? His height? Maybe 6 feet if he stretched. At 30, he had less hair than my dad. And he was certainly solid and dependable, he had to be close to 300 pounds. The guy even wore a white button-down shirt. Sitting in the chair, he looked like the Michelin Man. I was genuinely worried the buttons on his shirt were going to pop off. To make things more awkward, he had a coupon, but it wasn't valid on holidays. He then proceeded to argue with the waiter about it. Mr. Wallace, maybe we should just let it go, I said, trying to intervene. I'm a reasonable person, but I'll make an exception for you today. Miss Reed, I have a pretty good impression of you. You look better in person than in your photo. Even though you don't have a tenured position, I don't mind. How about we give it a try? If it works out, we can get married. This world is full of weirdos. I threw down half the money for the meal. You're great. I'm not good enough for you. I turned to leave, but to my annoyance, the guy actually started to follow me. A lazy, drawn-out voice called my name. I turned to look. Eric was leaning against a pure black sports car, wearing a baseball cap, and waving me over. Get over here. His tone was laced with impatience. For a moment, I felt a pang of guilt. But then I remembered, he was the one who started acting shady first. What did I have to feel guilty about? I slowly shuffled over to him. He looked down at me, his deep eyes staring intently. What are you doing? I pressed my lips together and mumbled, a blind date. He suddenly let out a cold, sharp laugh and reached out to cup my head. Joanna, you're making things a little difficult for me, he murmured to himself. Then, he suddenly leaned down and kissed me. I was a mess of shame, panic, and fear. He wasn't wearing a mask. What if someone recognized him? I pushed him away with all my might. Don't, there are people. The blind date was already standing there, completely stunned. Your boyfriend looks like a celebrity. Why are you on a blind date with me? Defeated, I blushed and pulled Eric into the car. That whole scene had scared me to death. Eric got into the car with a dark expression, his angry gaze still fixed on my face. What's he got that I don't? I felt both wronged and a little angry. After thinking for a moment, I puffed out my cheeks and squeezed out, he has a stable job. Eric was so mad he was speechless. He then retorted sarcastically, he looks old enough to be your father. Older men know how to take care of you, I shot back, not willing to back down. Is that your way of saying I don't know how to take care of you? Then, he started the car. The engine roared to life, and I started to panic. What are you doing? Finding a better place to take real good care of you, he said, his voice dangerously low. I didn't mean it like that, I stammered, grabbing the corner of his shirt. Then what did you mean, huh? Going on blind dates when you have a boyfriend? A chill flickered in his eyes. Well, you were the one flirting with someone else first. I shoved my phone at him, showing him the gossip article. He looked at it and burst out laughing, then leaned over and pulled me into his arms. Were you jealous? His low, laughing voice tickled my ear. My heart fluttered. No. Joanna, from now on, if you have a question, just ask me. Don't just make things up in your head. Then, he opened his phone and showed me a video, behind-the-scenes footage from their show. I wasn't looking at her. I was looking at the food. Oh. It turned out that right next to Jenna, a few crew members were cooking. They had been filming for hours and were starving. He wasn't looking at Jenna with adoring eyes, he was drooling over the food. After hearing his explanation, I couldn't help but laugh. Jenna and I aren't even close off camera. A lot of that stuff is just for publicity. It was the same with the others before, too. A lot of the time, you don't have a choice. Just like 7 years ago, when we lost touch. After I won the competition, I stupidly signed with a management company without knowing anything. The contract was for 7 years, no dating allowed, I had to maintain a single persona. That's why I didn't contact you. And you never contacted me either, Eric explained patiently, not forgetting to tease me. I lowered my head, embarrassed. He chuckled and pulled me into a hug. All right, what other questions are buzzing around in that head of yours? Why did you save my contact as idiot back then? He gave me a helpless look, a flash of tenderness in his eyes. Let me ask you this. Why did everyone start hooting whenever I went to your desk to turn in my homework? And why did everyone laugh whenever the teacher said both of our names at the same time? I blushed. Why? Eric sighed and gently ruffled my hair. The whole world knew I liked you, Joanna. Only you didn't. You idiot. He stared at me, his eyes crinkling at the corners, and finally said the words I'd waited so long to hear. Joanna, I'm in love with you. My reaction time must be incredibly slow. By the time it registered, I was a mess of laughing and crying. Me too, I sobbed back. How lucky. Our secret crushes were mutual. That day, Eric took me to an amusement park. He had rented the whole place out just for us. He said he wanted to do all the things couples do on dates. That night, as the fireworks exploded in the sky above the park, his eyes reflected the starry expanse. Joanna, if you hadn't told that guy who gave you a love letter that you couldn't date in high school, I would have asked you out ages ago. And I don't even like chocolate. I just knew someone did, so I gave it to you on purpose. After graduation, my parents wouldn't let me study music and cut me off financially. I thought to myself, if Joanna lends me money, I'll definitely come back and marry her. To be honest, the first few years were really tough. I had to go to school, train, and play the publicity game. I couldn't pursue the girl I liked. The industry is full of fakes and phonies, and sometimes I regretted choosing this path. But in the end, all the effort paid off. You see? Without your 520 back then, there wouldn't be a Eric today. He talked for a long, long time that day. I finally understood his heart, and I became even more certain of my own. From then on, I never felt insecure again. He was a public figure, so a lot of the time, we couldn't date or show affection like a normal couple. So, besides my best friend, no one knew about us. My parents were the first to get suspicious. One time when I was home, I was glued to my phone all day. My dad frowned at me. What are you grinning at like that? What's on that phone that's got you so mesmerized? I cautiously tested the waters. Dad, Mom, I'm seeing someone. What does he do? Does he have a stable job? My parents have a typical small-town mentality. Having grown up in the countryside, they believe there are 3 great unfilial acts, and not having a stable job is the worst of them. No, he doesn't. He's a singer. That won't do. That's not a real job. What can you make from singing? Well, a lot of people listen to his music. He's even had concerts. So what? That Danny fella from down the road is also a singer. He's always performing at weddings and funerals around the county, dressed like a bum. Can't even find a wife. No, Dad, he's really good looking. Silly girl, you can't eat good looks. That's just how they trick gullible girls like you. How much money can he make from singing? Besides, around here, a guy is expected to put up a serious sum to get married. You think he can afford that? I never thought that Eric would one day be dismissed so thoroughly. While I was lounging at home during the holidays, scrolling through happy little videos, the top celebrity Eric was working overtime recording his show. The comparison made this corporate drone feel smugly delighted. Miss me? Eric's deep voice came through the phone. I did. Then come down. Huh? I'm downstairs. I threw on my pajamas, my hair in a messy bun, and ran downstairs. So cute. He gently squeezed the bun on top of my head, one hand resting lightly on my waist. Joanna, if you miss me, you should be a little more proactive. He grinned mischievously and pointed to his lips. I blushed and stood on my toes, intending to give him just a quick peck. But he took control, deepening the kiss. Just as we were lost in a world-spinning kiss, a shriek shattered the atmosphere. Stop. Stop that. I turned my head. Oh my God, my mom. How did she get here? Even worse, my dad was right beside her, already raising his fist at Eric. I was terrified and shoved Eric away. I pushed too hard, and he stumbled, almost falling to the ground. You two, get upstairs. Now, my dad growled through clenched teeth. So this is the singer you found? My dad asked, his face dark. We stood there like a couple of teenagers caught dating. Hello, sir. My name is Eric. I was Joanna's high school classmate. My dad shot him a sideways glance. You certainly look flashy. My dad paused, then continued, but not having a proper job is a deal breaker. I can't entrust my daughter to you. And let me tell you, getting married around here is expensive. My dad's eyes darted around. After a few seconds of hesitation, he held up 2 fingers. We're talking $20,000. He had a look on his face like he was sure he'd just scared Eric off. Sir, we're dating with the intention of getting married. As for the financial aspect, I've already provided for Joanna, Eric replied with a polite smile. What? What did you give her? My dad's eyebrows shot up. $5.2 million. My dad burst out laughing as if he'd just heard a joke. 5.2 million. I don't even have that many chips in my poker app. Dad, it's true, I interjected weakly. I took out my phone, found a video of Eric online, and handed it to my dad. Look, doesn't he look just like him? My dad skeptically took the phone, compared the two for a long time, scratched his head, and then passed it to my mom. My mom examined it for another long moment. It's him. It's definitely him. Honey, you're dating a celebrity? After the chaos subsided and my dad's roller coaster of emotions settled, he spoke slowly. I don't approve of this. We're not after your money, but the gap between you two is just too big. And your whole entertainment world is a mess. My daughter is too innocent. If she's with you, she's bound to get hurt. Eric squeezed my hand tightly and explained, calmly and respectfully, Sir, I've loved Joanna for many years, and she feels the same. This isn't just a whim. We both want to build a life together. I've saved up some money over the years, and after we get married, I plan to support her in whatever she wants to do. Please, rest assured, I will take care of her. I know you love her, and so do I. In the end, my dad didn't say anything more. But he was still worried that his daughter would get hurt, despite Eric's repeated assurances. As I walked Eric downstairs, I finally couldn't help but ask, do you really want to get married? He replied as if it were the most obvious thing in the world, of course. What, you don't want to make it official? I was momentarily flustered. But thinking about it, he was at the peak of his career. As an artist, if he got married now, would it have to be a secret? I didn't press him any further. He smiled, looked down, and ruffled my hair. Just leave it all to me. He pulled a card from his pocket and placed it in my hand. I promised I'd invite you to a concert, Joanna. I looked down. It was a concert ticket. I knew he had been working on a new album recently, and many people were eagerly awaiting it. I had asked him what the new songs were about, but he had been mysteriously tight-lipped. Until the day it was released, and I saw the trending topic. Eric new album Always You. He posted on X that day. Who said we don't have a photo of just the two of us? I was looking back at you when you weren't looking. The accompanying image was a selfie of him in a school uniform, flashing a peace sign and smiling. In the frame, there was also the back of a girl in a uniform. It was me. He said, Joanna, our meeting was no accident. It was me, scheming to run into you. I looked at the photo of 18-year-old Eric and Joanna, and I started crying and smiling at the same time. It was so wonderful. My secret crush had been an echo all along. Eric's concert, for 100,000 people, was held at the city's largest stadium. The crowd was a surging tide of people, and the air was filled with screams and cheers. I sat in the front row, smiling as I listened to him sing one song after another. The last song was an echo of you. When the song finished, he stood on the stage, a spotlight shining on him, making him glow. He took a deep breath and spoke slowly. Hello, everyone. I'm Eric. Thank you for coming to my concert. The stadium erupted in another wave of cheers. I wrote this song for my Joanna. She lent me $520 back then, and I took a bus to a singing competition. That's how the Eric you see today came to be. He looked at me without hiding anything, his eyes filled with a gentle, lingering affection. I've been in this industry for 7 years. Thank you for loving my music. This will be my last concert. I'm announcing that, starting today, I am retiring from the entertainment industry. The venue was in an uproar. No one could have imagined that Eric would retire at the height of his career. He refused all interviews and led me straight out from backstage. My mind was still stuck on his retirement announcement, and I didn't notice where he was taking me. Eric, why did you? There are lots of reasons. For example, I don't want my hobby to become my job, I don't want to go hungry for dinner, I don't want my words and actions, and those of the people around me, to be constantly scrutinized, and I don't want to be working overtime when my girlfriend is on vacation. I want us to be like a normal couple. To go out to eat, to go on dates, to travel, to do whatever we want to do. But, without another word, he took my hand and started running. We finally stopped, panting and out of breath, in a familiar place. Joanna, remember this spot? He had brought me back to our school, to the path on the campus where I used to run into him all the time. It was the same spot where, on graduation day, he had hijacked my phone and changed his contact name to Eric, the handsomest guy in the world. Every time I saw him here, I would instinctively lower my head, unable to meet his gaze. You used to walk by here every day at around 7:10 a.m. I would get here at 7 o'clock and wait just for those few seconds to see you. You would look down, and I would look back. On graduation day, it was right here that you lent me the money. So today, let it be right here again. He suddenly dropped to one knee, a sparkling diamond ring between his fingers. For 7 years, I thought I had missed my chance with you forever. But that day, when you transferred all your money to me, I made up my mind. I was going to win my girl back. I was going to marry her. Joanna, let's get married. He smiled, his eyes crinkling, glistening with unshed tears. I was overwhelmed with excitement, shock, and emotion, and I finally burst into tears. You idiot, you're supposed to say yes, Eric said, gently squeezing my fingers with a loving smile. I do, I sobbed. He slipped the diamond ring onto my finger. From the school's PA system, his song An Echo of You began to play. The last line of the lyrics was, "You're the one I could never forget, and I'm the echo of your secret crush." Epilogue. After Eric retired, the news was everywhere for a while. But in the entertainment world, fame and news are fleeting. After some time, things quieted down. Our life together has been sweet as honey these past few days. But then I just had to go and snoop through his phone. I was hoping to dig up some dirt, but Eric's social media was as clean as his face. Disappointing. My phone, on the other hand, was a different story. Not only did he see all the thirsty messages my best friend sent me, but he also opened my TikTok. After scrolling through a few dozen videos, he found that my feed was full of shirtless young men shaking their hips. The algorithm really knows how to deliver. Not only that, but he also found my comment under one of the videos. "This is the 108th man I've fallen in love with today. Can someone please tell me what abs feel like?" To add fuel to the fire, my best friend had just sent her daily text. "Did Joanna pounce on Eric today?" I stood there, forcing a weak laugh, and tried to explain, my voice lacking any conviction, It's all a joke. If I had known you were this eager, I wouldn't have been holding back." Eric's voice was low and husky, his eyes glowing. "What's the point of just looking?" He chuckled softly, leaning in close to my ear. "Why don't you feel the real thing for yourself? I'm dead. No sleep for me tonight. His beauty will be the death of me." But lately, the famous Eric has had his own troubles. I brought him home to meet the family. At the dinner table, a whole flock of my aunts surrounded him, cheering when they saw him. "Ooh, our big star is back." My mom called out to him, "Eric, your Aunt Carol came all the way here just to hear you sing. Go on, sing a song for her." Poor Eric sat on a small stool, hands clasped, looking both obedient and terrified, and sang one of his pop hits. A few of the aunts started whispering amongst themselves. He's better than that Danny fella from down the road. I still prefer classic rock." He shot me a desperate, pleading look. I completely ignored him, too busy laughing so hard I could barely stand up. "Still laughing? Just wait until we get home. I'll show you."